Hi everyone, welcome back. Hope you're all well out there. This week I'm going to try and make a dropout bowl using this dropout mould that I've never used before. So that's going to be interesting. I'm also going to use, to help form the disc that'll sit on top of that, this former made out of stainless steel that I've only just put together. Okay, so this is the mould we're going to use. Now this is a new mould for me. I have never used it. In fact, I have never made a dropout bowl before. So it's a brand new experience for both of us maybe, but hopefully you'll get something out of it as well. I certainly will, and I'm sure I'm going to learn a few lessons in this one. Now, the idea of dropout moulds is that this mould is supported on the kiln shelf. I'll be using 3 of these risers. We'll then fire it and soften it so the glass softens, goes down, hits the shelf below it, just enough to form a flat area on the bottom of it so the vase is something to sit on. Now I've got to fuse up a disc of glass. I think it's going to be about 9 mils, 3 layers thick. I'll just double check that. But the first thing we've got to do is get a mould for fusing up the disc. Now I don't have a disc mould, so this morning I went and cut this out of my scrap stainless steel. I've made like a little former, and I am going to now fuse that in my kiln just to burn off any oil. I'll get it into shape and I'll support it with these and get it ready for fusing up the disc. So that's the very first stage I've got to do, is just fire this and hopefully set it into a shape and clean off all the oils. So this is our former. It's worked out all right. It's kept its shape, hasn't done anything weird. I fired it up to 805C, no hold, and then just let it cool naturally. Now, this is going to be, before I go on with that, that'll obviously be laid on the shelf on thin fire paper, and then I've got some strips here that I'll line the inside of that with thin fire as well. Now, as far as glass is concerned, don't forget, all of this is Bullseye 90. And what I'm going to be doing is I'll use predominantly clear, and I'm going to use some yellow and some light aquamarine. Excuse me. And predominantly clear because I really do want mainly a transparent bowl. Mind you, this is the first bowl I've making in this way, so I don't really know what's going to happen as far as how these colours will mix. I do know that they can react, so I do expect to get some reaction going on there. Now I've done my calculations based upon the density of bullseye glass. Previously I'd done some research and it tells me that I should have about 3 layers of glass, 9 mils of glass, for the drop that this mould is going to give, which is 100 millimeters, 10 centimeters, or 4 inches. So if you work it out at 1 layer per 2 inches, that's 2 layers there, plus I'm adding in an extra one as well. On the inside, it is 12.5 centimeters, and I think that's all that matters. So it's 12.5 centimeters in diameter. And as I mentioned, these risers are 4 inches in height, which is 10 centimeters. Now we'll show you all the calculations just shortly. So the next thing I have to do is prepare all my glass, and I will be putting just a clear base in there, and then I'll be laying up the colour on top of that and mix it in with some chips of clear as well. Okay, I have cut up all my glass, as you can see it up the top up here, and it's all been cleaned. Now I've tended to cut it into long sort of slivers, because as this stretch, I'm hoping I'll get a sort of a long elongated look to it as it stretches down. Predominantly yellow, not so much aquamarine in there. So hopefully we'll get some nice greenish tints and a little bit of reaction. Now I've set up the mould here. I've got thin fire on the shelf there. I've put a layer of thin fire around the ring there. I've already got some clear on the bottom, so now it's just a matter of adding in all the colour and mixing in some of the clear grit or clear pieces. There we go. I'll just make sure that all that is below the level of the thin fire that's around the edges, and we'll get it in the kiln and we'll do a full fuse, and hopefully we'll end up with something reasonably nice. Okay, there we are. It is all fused up. Worked out quite good, I think. Got a lot of nice bubbles in there, so I think the bubbles are going to look good once they get elongated, I hope, when it drops down. It's an odd shape because of my handmade former, but I'm not going to keep the lid. I've decided I am going to try and cut it off, which is something I did want to try. So I'm going to try and cut that off once we've dropped it, if it works successfully. I'm not going to do any more cold working at all to that, so I'm just going to drop it exactly the way it is. Got my mould over here. I've sprayed it with boron nitride. I am going to follow one bit of advice I did find, which I didn't find much, and that is to put a little bit of kiln paper on top of that. That's what will go on the shelf, so it'll touch on that. That's about it. And we'll get this all happening. I'll wash this up and we'll get it all happening, and hold your breath. So, today is the big reveal. Are you ready for this? Yeah. Well, I must say, it didn't quite work out the way I expected. Well, I wouldn't call that a vase, more like a dish. And it certainly dropped through. Sorry, I have to laugh. How's that for a first attempt? I don't know what I can say. I'm not absolutely sure exactly what went wrong, but I got a feeling that I didn't make the disc big enough. I think the disc should have went all the way out to the edges of the dropout mould. Maybe it was just a case of it, as it slumped in, it sort of pulled in on the sides enough so that eventually it just went straight through. I run this up to a slump temperature of 630 C, and I thought it would take much longer than that, but believe it or not, I didn't look at it until it got up to the 630. When I looked at it, there it was, sitting on the shelf already. So very surprisingly, it softened and fell through long before it got to that sort of slumping temp of about 630. So that really surprised me. So that just taught me that I need to look at this a lot earlier. I'm sure it's thick enough. I don't think there was a problem with enough glass. At least I don't think so. The ramp was very slow, so I don't think that was a problem either. I think I've just got to try another one. I'll make the disc big enough to fit the mould completely, so it'll have plenty of anchor around the sides, and we'll give it another go. I thought about flattening this one out and trying again, but I like to keep all those first attempts and the mistakes. They sort of remind me of what went wrong. So anyway, I hope that'd give you a laugh. It certainly gave me a laugh. What else can I tell you? I think that's about it. Well, I hope that gave you a good laugh. It's certainly not what I expected, and I assume it's not what you expected as well. But it's going to make a really interesting little dish that'll sit on my desk upstairs. Every time I look at it, I will wonder probably a little bit. I'm not too sure what I'm going to do, but anyway. I hope you enjoyed that. Hope it was entertaining at least. And don't forget, want to watch a couple more videos, they're up there. Our subscribe button is right there. Don't forget your notifications. And until the next video, which I hope will turn out better than this one, I'll say bye for now.